All right, you want to start? Can you tell us just a little bit about your lacrosse background?
Sure. Yeah, I'm kind of in a weird situation in that I'm right back where it started. I was a freshman here at reserve, had never seen lacrosse, heard of it at all. And then spring of my freshman year, I was about a month into baseball season, and I saw my first lacrosse game here, and was converted pretty much immediately. So started playing lacrosse here, learned how to play the game from coaches and teammates at reserve, and then went on to pursue college football and played football for 4 years, but played club lacrosse at the Claremont colleges. And then from there, just kind of followed my passion into coaching and stayed with it since.
Okay. So what made you decide to pursue football and club lacrosse as opposed to maybe just playing college lacrosse somewhere? Was that an option for you?
Yeah, thanks. I think it's a great question. I did consider playing college lacrosse and had a couple opportunities. Football was kind of my first love. Grew up playing football. Lacrosse was still pretty new to me at the time. My parents moved to California when I was here in high school at boarding school. And so that opened up a whole new avenue of schools for me to consider and look at. And when I got an offer to go play at Claremont McKenna for football, it kind of had the educational experience and the football carrot that I was looking for. So jumped on that, and then thought, my, lacrosse career was over. And once I was a freshman at Claremont, I got approached by the guys on the club team, didn't know anything about NCAA lacrosse, learned a ton, and really dove in head first and got to experience an awesome collegiate lacrosse experience playing for the Claremont colleges. And then, obviously had the football opportunity too. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds for me.
And so what was it like playing at Claremont?
It was awesome. I don't know how much you know about the Claremont colleges, but it's a really unique setup in that there are 5 colleges all adjacent to one another. And for the lacrosse program, since it's not varsity status, the team draws from all of them. Obviously, there's Scripps College, which is all female, but the other 4 colleges feed into the men's program. And so it made for really unique friendships in that the other sports, the varsity sports, are split up. So Pomona and Pitzer have their own athletic department. Claremont and Harvey Mudd have their own athletic department. So the guys that I was literally arch rivals against in football and other sports at the school were teammates in lacrosse. And so it really made the experience a lot better because I was able to kind of put the rivalry aside and develop some friendships that have been, lifelong and really meaningful. And if it weren't for lacrosse, I would have never done that. So that was a really unique, aspect of it, just kind of really nuanced to Claremont specifically. And then just being involved in West Coast lacrosse during its kind of inception and really the explosion of it was really cool to be a part of that and just watch it kind of the game just go west at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool to be there like while that's all happening too. Were people kind of aware of the lacrosse team too? Like, were you guys getting support at games? And did you guys have coaches and practices, or could you tell me more about that too?
Yeah. I mean, we had our ups and downs in terms of like the organizational aspect of the club. And I was really lucky to be teammates with some super passionate guys that kind of channeled their energy into getting the club organized, creating a board and bringing on full-time coaches and really trying to professionalize the whole thing during the 4 years that I was there. It made a world of difference. I mean, we went from kind of an obscure club with a good history, but not a ton of success, to a very successful group in a short amount of time. And I credit those guys for how passionate they were about the program and building the program. The team was extremely well supported. I think, again, going back to my earlier reference about the 5 colleges, it created a different and unique kind of opportunity for people to socialize. And so our games were really well attended, and they kind of ended up turning into, parties on the side while we're playing lacrosse. But I thought it was cool to see people that otherwise wouldn't have engaged with each other just due to the different schools, have a great time every time we went out and faced off. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. And so how do you think the MCLA has changed since you played?
It's interesting. It's interesting. I think that in a lot of ways it's improved. And in some ways, I think that the growth of the sport has caused it to take a step back. So it's kind of like it's growing. I think more and more clubs are much more organized. They have the coaching staffs, they have regular practices. Some of them have lifting and access to facilities. It's just, there was some models out there like Michigan and BYU and some of these schools that a lot of people have followed and done a great job with. And so there's just more organized competitive teams now than ever in the MCLA. Whereas back when I played, it was probably, 3 or 4 teams in each division that could justifiably win a national championship. It's probably a lot more now, the parity. That being said, I think that NCAA growth, particularly at the D3 level and D2 level, and then the growth of the game on the West Coast, way more kids are being fished out of those areas that would have gone traditionally to MCLA schools. So like St. Ignatius in California, for example, powerhouse high school program, all of those kids went to UCSB, and UCSB won a couple of national championships as a result. Well, now all those kids are getting looks from Division I schools back east. And so it's just the same kind of feeders systems aren't happening that maybe happened 20 years ago. That's not to say that there's not talent, because the game is growing and there's tons of kids. You see it in the South where Florida, Atlanta, the Carolinas, the SELC has just taken off. It's because of the growth of the game down there. But it's just a different landscape. It was very West Coast dominant back then because a lot of those kids didn't pursue varsity opportunities.
Makes a lot of sense. So I guess that kind of also ties into you were a member of the Denver Outlaws as well, and they kind of helped branch lacrosse out west. But you had the unique experience. You were playing professionally as MCLA alum. What was it kind of like coming from a different lacrosse background as everybody else that you were with?
Yeah, I just felt so happy to be there and be a part of it, candidly. I mean, those guys were incredible lacrosse players, and the coaching staff that they assembled, the organization, the Denver Outlaws, and it was first class, right? You're playing in Broncos Stadium. I think during my 3 years there, they went to, I think, the championship. Two out of the 3 won it in 2014, had an undefeated season in 13 until the playoffs. So ton of success in the organization, and just being able to be a part of that and learn from all those people was a really cool opportunity, and to build some friendships and relationships along the way as well. The MCLA thing, you know what, guys, it didn't register. I think people just, you go out there, you play, you're a good teammate, good person, and that's all people really care about. But yeah, I think it was unique for me, just not having played at that high level Division I. Just showing up to a practice felt different, and I was so excited to be a part of it.
And so when you first got into coaching, did you look to coach MCLA at all, or did you kind of just take, whatever job was the best fit, regardless of NCAA or MCLA?
Yeah, I absolutely did. There's I interviewed and applied for a job out in California that I thought would have been awesome, and was just about to accept it. And the girl that I was dating at the time interviewed and applied for a job in Pennsylvania. And so I was forced to kind of make a decision, and I chose the girl. Otherwise, my life would look a lot different right now, but definitely would have considered coaching an MCLA program, and love chatting with the guys that are currently coaching, Dallas Hartley, Mike Allen, all these guys out west that have done a phenomenal job. Jesse Foss, they're great coaches, and I'm lucky to, stay in contact with them.
Nice.
So you mentioned kind of learning a lot about lacrosse from the MLL guys you were with. Did that kind of help too when it went to coaching a college team? Because it's just a whole nother monster coaching a Division I lacrosse team compared to being on a club team too.
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing for me making that transition was, the playing piece is one thing, and you can be a really good player, and I've learned this over the years, and really not know a ton about the game. Just being a great athlete and kind of, being in the right place at the right time. And but as a coach, I've been super lucky. I coach at the Division III level with a guy named John Hawes, who was a phenomenal head coach, and in prior years he was the head coach at Carolina and at Hopkins. So learned a lot from him. Got to learn from Coach Tierney and Coach Brown at Denver and Coach Bates at Princeton. And so it's just being around all these incredible lacrosse minds. Really, my time at Denver, it was 4 years, and it was kind of like for me my graduate degree in lacrosse. I mean, I got to be exposed to and learn from so many people, not just the Denver staff, but then all of Coach Tierney's friends like Coach Cottle and Coach Seaman and these older guys that were willing to share, their knowledge with me. So I really learned the game in a way that I never did as a player. And I've been able to, obviously take advantage of it.
You kind of talked about earlier when you were talking about the Outlaws that people didn't really care that you were like one of the only MCLA alum. Was it kind of the same way with coaching? Like when you were interviewing with, Denver and Princeton, did they kind of like, did it feel weird being an MCLA guy going into those jobs, or did they not really care either?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I was lucky there were some guys in the MLL that had done it prior to me. A guy named Alex Smith, Colorado State guy. He later became Colorado State's head coach, and then now he's coaching NCAA up in Vermont. But he kind of paved the way there. On the coaching front at the D1 level, there weren't a ton of guys. John Paul at Michigan, what he did with that program was incredible. He and I are still really close friends. A guy named Ken Brochart, he's at High Point. He's an assistant coach there. He was the head coach at University of Arizona for a while. Learned a ton from him. Chris Cooper, he was an assistant with me at Princeton. He's been at Colgate and Binghamton. He played at Central Michigan. So I guess what I'm getting at is that it's a very tight knit group of guys that have coached at the D1 level that played MCLA lacrosse. That being said, I don't think people look at it any differently. If you can coach, you can coach. You can play, you can play. People are just worried about, do you care about them, and do you produce? And I think that fortunately all those guys have done a phenomenal job representing the MCLA.
Nice. So the school you're coaching at right now, Western Reserve, they have a lot of success and seem to send a good amount of kids to play Division I lacrosse. Do any of your players ever go MCLA too? And
Yeah,
maybe convince them?
yeah, no, I strongly encourage our guys to take looks at every opportunity, right? And really, at the end of the day, the happiness is the outcome that we're looking for, right? So,
Yeah.
I've got one. So today, actually, it's coincidental. It's signing day here at the school. So I've got 10 guys going on to play varsity lacrosse, 71, 3D3. And then I have some other guys that won't get to do the signing day festivities, but they're going to hopefully continue playing at the next level. Got a young man, Lucas Martinez, who is looking at Savannah College of Art and Design. They were MCLA and now they're NAIA, but it's the right fit for him academically, and he gets to continue playing. Also, I have another guy, Peter Cook, who's going to probably go to Tulane and hopefully play there. He looked at Georgia Tech. He looked at Chapman. He's looked at South Carolina. I mean, those are programs that are awesome lacrosse programs, and I've tried to, impress on him that it's the real deal. And he's excited about the fact that he could still be a part of a really high functioning program, but go to a school that fits his personality. So definitely pumping the MCLA, and I'm hopeful that more guys will continue to look at those opportunities.
Nice. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think that's about all we have for questions. You have any questions for us at all?
And how'd you guys get into this? Just fired up about MCLA lacrosse and want to continue spreading the good word, or what?
Well, it kind of started with I don't know if you know, but Nick Ocello on Twitter. He was talking about MCLA teams at one point, and I don't know, we're kind of just like, we could do that. We could talk about teams too, and then kind of grew more than we expected, and so we just kind of stuck with it.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I remember as a player, we had the luxury of some NCAA teams wanting to come to Southern California for spring break just because of the weather. And so we'd get like an occasional game with an NCAA team. Like MIT came out one year. Notre Dame Dana Mira, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but they were D2 in California for a while. They were actually really good. We got to play them one time. And it's like the whole intensity level went up a different notch as an MCLA player and program when you got a chance to kind of measure yourself. But I think now, guys, I think that's one of the biggest changes too for the MCLA is guys are way less insecure about playing MCLA, and they're just like stoked about the fact that they get to keep playing and there's a championship and we're gonna go get it. Like I think there was a little bit of an inferiority complex when I played. Maybe that's just me. But now I feel like the game has grown so much. People are just like, who cares? I'm playing at the level that I want to play at the school that I want to be at.
Yeah. We play DePaul every year, which is a D3 school in Indiana, and we kind of just see it as a normal game.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, it was like a Super Bowl, right? And I was like, why? There's nothing on the line. So again, I think the game has just kind of outgrown that, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been cool from my perspective to see like Michigan go from where they were to the elite MCLA team, then to Division I team, and be able to follow that. Watch program like Chapman kind of come out of nowhere and then become multiple time national championship team. And it's been awesome. And some of my best friends are through MCLA lacrosse. And so I hope that you guys are able to, create those relationships too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks guys.
Thank you so much.
Time.
Yeah, definitely. Wishing you good luck in your season this spring too.
Thanks. Yeah, you guys too. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Excited to keep following you guys.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.